The chains bit into Cole's wrists as the guards dragged him through the metal hallways. The floor was cold under his bare feet. They had taken his boots, his jacket, everything useful. All he had left were torn pants and a shirt that was more holes than fabric. The guards were Oran, insect creatures that stood on two legs like men but had the faces of giant mantises. Their eyes were black and empty. Their mouths clicked when they spoke. Had been hauling cargo across the galaxy for 6 years, and he knew about these creatures. Slavers, traders in living beings. The worst kind of filth the universe had to offer. 3 days ago they had attacked his ship. His crew of 4 was dead. Had fought, killed 2 of the boarders, but there were too many. Now he was here on station, the biggest slave market in the outer sectors. The auction had not gone well for him. Had stood on the platform while aliens of all shapes looked at him with bored eyes. The auctioneer, a fat Oran with golden rings on his antenna, had tried to sell him as a worker. No buyers. A fighter. The crowd laughed. Humans were small. Humans were soft. Humans died easily and didn't live long enough to be worth the cost of feeding them. Nobody wanted him. So the head smiled with his clicking mouth and said, "Entertainment, then." Now the guard stopped at a massive door. It was thick metal with claw marks from the inside. The scratches were deep. Some were old and rusted. Some looked fresh. One guard pressed a button and the door began to open. The smell hit first. Blood and rot and something else, something wild and dangerous. It was the smell of a predator's den. "What's in there?" asked. The guards laughed. One of them leaned close. His breath smelled like dead meat. The guard clicked. 3 of them, very hungry, very angry. "You will make them happy for a little while." Knew that name. Everyone in the galaxy knew that name. Were dragon people, 12 feet tall, scales like black armor, claws that could cut through steel, teeth full of poison. Once they had ruled 50 star systems. Their warriors were legendary. Then the Oran had come with their armies and their neural parasites, and the empire fell. Now the survivors were scattered, broken, used as arena fighters and guard beasts. And was about to be thrown into a cage with 3 of them. He tried to pull back, but the guards were strong. They lifted him like he weighed nothing and threw him through the door. He hit the ground hard, rolling on wet stone. The door slammed shut behind him. He heard the locks click into place. He heard the guards walking away, still laughing. The pit was dark. The only light came from small holes in the ceiling far above. The walls were smooth stone, too steep to climb. The floor was covered in old bones. Some were small. Some were very large. All of them were cracked and chewed. Got to his feet slowly. His heart was beating fast, but he forced himself to breathe. Panic would kill him faster than anything else. He heard movement in the darkness, a scraping sound, scales on stone. 2 orange lights appeared in the shadows, then 2 more, then 2 more. Eyes, 6 eyes watching him, 3 creatures. The first stepped into the dim light and understood why galaxies had trembled before these beings. It was massive, at least 12 feet tall when standing straight. Its body was covered in black scales that looked like armor plates. Its arms were long, ending in hands with claws the size of kitchen knives. Its head was like a dragon from old Earth stories, with a long snout full of teeth and eyes that burned like hot coals. But there was something wrong with it. Could see the scars, the places where scales were missing. The way it moved stiffly, like old injuries had never healed right. This creature had been fighting and suffering for a long time. The second was smaller but moved faster. It circled around to his left, cutting off his escape path. Not that there was anywhere to escape to. The third was old. Could see the gray on its scales, the slowness in its movements. But its eyes were the sharpest of all. They looked at with something more than hunger. They looked at him with intelligence. The largest one spoke. Its voice was deep, like thunder rolling through mountains. "Another sacrifice." Said nothing. He was watching, learning, the way they moved, the way they positioned themselves, Hunters, pack hunters, they had done this before many times. At least try to run, little thing, the big one said. There was almost pity in its voice. It makes the meat. Took a step back, then another. The followed, slow and patient. They were enjoying this. Or maybe they had simply done it so many times that this was all they knew anymore. The small one growled. This one does not scream, this one does not beg, strange. It does not matter, the big one said. It will die the same as all the others. Felt the wall at his back. Nowhere left to go. The three spread out, forming a half circle around him. The big one raised one massive clawed hand. Then did something that made them all stop. He sat down. He simply sat on the cold stone floor, leaned back against the wall, and looked up at them with calm eyes. The froze, this was not right. Prey did not do this. Prey ran. Prey screamed. Prey begged. Prey fought uselessly until it was torn apart. Prey did not sit down and wait calmly for death. "What are you doing?" the big one demanded. Shrugged, "I'm tired. It's been a long week. If you're going to kill me, kill me. But I'm not going to run around like a scared animal for your entertainment." The three looked at each other. This had never happened before. The old one moved closer. Its orange eyes studied like he was a puzzle to solve. "What kind of creature are you?" it asked. Looked up at the ancient dragon warrior and smiled. It was not a scared smile. It was not a crazy smile. It was the smile of a man who had already accepted death and found it funny. "I'm human," he said, "and I think we need to talk." The big did not like surprises. Its name was, and for 20 years it had been the queen of this pit. Every creature the Oran threw down here met the same end. Quick for the ones who fought, slow for the ones who ran, but always the same end. This human was different, and did not like different. Talk growled, "Prey does not talk, prey dies." Stayed seated on the ground. He looked relaxed, but his eyes were sharp. He was watching every small movement the three dragons made. "You could kill me right now," said. "One bite, one claw swipe. It would take you 2 seconds. But then what? You eat me, you're still hungry in a few hours, and you're still here, still in this pit, still waiting for the bugs to throw you another piece of meat." The smaller, whose name was, hissed at him. "You speak too much for something so easy to kill." "Maybe," agreed, "but I'm the most interesting thing that's happened to you in years. Admit it." The old made a sound that might have been a laugh. It was rough and dry, like stones grinding together. "The creature has a point," said. 20 years I have been in this pit. I have eaten many things. Not one of them has ever made conversation." Turned on the old one with anger in her eyes. "You would listen to this thing, this weak, soft, tiny thing." "I would hear it speak," said calmly. "We have time, we always have time, that is all we have." Snarled, but she did not attack, not yet. Instead, she crouched down until her massive head was at his level. Her teeth were each as long as his fingers. Her breath was hot and smelled like old blood. "Speak then, little human. Amuse me, and when I grow bored I will eat you slowly." Did not look away from her burning eyes. Most creatures would have frozen in terror. He just nodded like they were having a normal conversation. He said, "Your people ruled half the galaxy once. You had 100 warships. Your warriors were so feared that some species would surrender just by hearing your fleet was coming." Stopped circling, went very still, Even's eyes changed just a little. "How do you know this?" demanded. "I'm a cargo hauler," said. "I've been to a lot of places, I've heard a lot of stories. The fall of the Empire is famous. The Oran attacked you with a bio-weapon, some kind of neural parasite. It got into your people's heads, made them confused, made them weak, made them surrender." Closed his eyes. The old dragon's claws scraped slowly against the stone floor. "I remember," said softly. "I remember the day the sky burned. I remember my brothers and sisters falling, holding their heads, screaming as the parasites ate their thoughts. I remember being captured. I remember everything." looked at the old warrior with something like respect. How long have you been here? I stopped counting after the first century. 100 years, trapped in a pit, fed prisoners and slaves, turned from a proud warrior into a weapon for entertainment, felt something cold and angry growing in his chest, not fear, something else. Stood up suddenly, enough of this, enough memories, enough talking. She raised her clawed hand. You die now, human. She struck. Moved. He was not fast enough to dodge completely, but he was fast enough to avoid the killing blow. Claws scraped across his side instead of his chest. Blood flowed, but he stayed on his feet. He rolled to the side, putting a large bone pile between himself and the dragon. Roared and charged, ran. But he did not run in panic. He ran with purpose. The pit was not flat. There were rocks, bone piles, uneven ground, used all of it. He stayed in the places where size worked against her. He ducked into gaps she could not follow. He kept moving, never stopping, never slowing down. Tried to cut him off, changed direction, did not join the chase. The old dragon just watched with curious eyes. For 10 minutes ran. He was bleeding, he was exhausted, but he would not stop. Every time got close, he found a way to slip away. Every time tried to trap him, he was already moving somewhere else. Finally caught him. She was simply too fast, too strong. Her massive hand closed around his body and slammed him against the wall. He felt ribs crack. Blood filled his mouth. Brought him close to her face. Her teeth were right there, ready to tear him apart. You are quick, she admitted, for a soft thing, but you cannot escape forever. Looked at her through swelling eyes. Blood ran down his chin, and he laughed. His grip loosened in surprise. Why do you laugh? Because you still don't understand, gasped. I wasn't trying to escape. I was trying to show you something. Show me what? Spit blood on the ground and grinned with red teeth. That I don't give up. That's what humans are. We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest. We're not the biggest. But we don't stop. Ever. We hunted animals 10 times our size by following them until they collapsed from exhaustion. We conquered our world not by being the most dangerous predator, but by being the most stubborn one. Stepped forward. His old eyes were shining now. I understand, the old dragon said. Persistence hunters, I have heard of such species. They do not chase and catch. They follow and wait. They track their prey across days, weeks, until the prey cannot run anymore. Nodded. You could kill me right now, but I'll fight. I'll bite, I'll scratch, I'll hurt you any way I can. And when you're done with me, you'll still be here. Still a pet. Still a slave. The Oran will keep feeding you prisoners until you die of old age in this pit. He coughed blood but kept talking. Or you could listen to what I have to say, because I don't just have words. I have a plan. Not just to escape this pit, but to make the bugs pay for everything they've done. To you, to your people, to mine. His claws tightened, felt his bones creak. What plan? She demanded. Smiled. He had their attention now. Put me down, he said, and I'll tell you how we're going to burn this station to the ground. Held him for a long moment. Then slowly she opened her hand, fell to the floor, gasping, bleeding, but alive. Came closer. You really think you can escape this place? Many have tried, all have died. Struggled to his feet, standing hurt, breathing hurt, everything hurt. I don't think, he said. I know, because humans don't plan for victory. We plan for the enemy's total destruction, and once we start, we don't stop until it's done. Looked at, the old dragon's voice was soft. I told you, sister. The moment I saw this one, I knew. This is not prey that learned to fight. This is death that learned to walk and talk and smile. Looked at the small, bleeding, broken human who stood before her without fear. And for the first time in 20 years, she felt something she had forgotten. Hope. 4 weeks passed in the pit. His wounds healed slowly. They let him rest in a corner where the shadows were deep and the ground was dry. The smallest of the three brought him pieces of meat when food was dropped into the pit. Did not ask where the meat came from. He could not afford to be picky. While his body healed, his mind worked. Every day the guards opened the pit door to throw in food or new prisoners. Every time watched. He counted seconds. He noted which guards came at which times. He studied the sounds from above, learning the rhythm of the station. The Oran thought their prisoners were animals. They did not bother hiding their conversations. They talked openly about shift changes, security codes, broken equipment, and listened to everything. "There is a control room," he told the one night. "Somewhere on the upper level. That's where they control the neural dampeners." His eyes opened in the darkness. "The dampeners, I feel them always, like a fog in my head. It makes thinking slow. It makes rage difficult to hold." Nodded. "The Oran keep all their prisoners under control with those devices. There are dozens of your people on this station. Did you know that? Arena fighters, guard beasts, war slaves. They keep you separated because they're afraid of what happens if you work together." Growled low in her throat. "I did not know. They never told us." "Of course they didn't," said. "United, Free could tear this station apart. The dampeners keep you weak and confused. But if someone destroyed the control room, turned off those devices, every on this station would wake up at the same time." Leaned closer. "How do we reach this control room? We cannot even leave this pit." Pointed upward. "The ventilation system, I've been listening. The air shafts run through the whole station. Most species are too big to fit. But you," he looked at, "you're smaller than the others. If we could get a shaft open, you could move through the station without being seen." Made his grinding laugh. "And how do we open a ventilation shaft? With polite requests." Smiled. "Leave that to me." The next day, when food was thrown into the pit, something else came with it. A maintenance drone, small and broken, had been dropped by accident. The guards did not notice. Why would they? It was just trash. But too, it was treasure. Over the next week, he took the drone apart piece by piece. He had no tools, so he used his fingers, his teeth, pieces of bone. The work was slow and painful. His hands bled. His muscles ached. But he did not stop. Watched him with growing curiosity. "You're kind," she said one night. "You are not strong like us. You are not fast. You have no armor, no claws, no venom. How did you survive on your world?" Looked up from his work. His hands were wrapped in strips torn from his shirt, already soaked with blood. "Our world is a death trap," he said. "Earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, predators everywhere. The air can kill you. The water can kill you. The plants can kill you. We survived by being clever and by never ever giving up. If something knocked us down, we got back up. If we couldn't beat it with strength, we beat it with patience. We outlasted everything that tried to kill us." He held up a small piece of metal from the drone. "And we're very good with tools." 2 weeks later, the ventilation shaft in the corner of the pit had a hole in it. Not a large hole, just big enough for a Slim to squeeze through. Looked at the opening with fear and excitement. She had not been outside the pit in 15 years. "Remember the route," told her. "Third turn left straight until you hear the humming, then right. That's the control room. You don't need to destroy anything. Just pull the red cables from the main panel, all of them. That will shut down the dampeners." "What if I am caught?" "You won't be," said. "The Oran don't expect prisoners to fight back. They've never had to. Their security is lazy because no one has ever challenged it." Stepped forward. "And what will you do while crawls through tunnels?" Smile was cold. "I'll give them something else to think about. The wants entertainment. I'm going to give him the best show of his life." Looked at the human with ancient eyes. "You are planning something dangerous." "I'm planning to make them look at me instead of at her. The grand arena fight. I'll request it myself. Tell thee I want to die fighting instead of rotting in a pit. He'll love it. He'll invite every important person on the station to watch the funny human get torn apart." His eyes narrowed. "And while everyone watches you die, frees our people." "I'm not planning to die," said. "I'm planning to win, but the Oran don't need to know that." The plan was simple. Simple plans were best. When entered the arena, would move through the ventilation system. When the dampeners went down, every on the station would suddenly wake up. The chaos would be absolute. What happens after? Asked. Even without the dampeners, we are still trapped on this station. There are guards, weapons, locked doors. Pulled out a small data chip. He had traded his remaining shirt to a prisoner for this before the prisoner was killed. On it was a map of the station, incomplete but useful. There are escape pods on the lower level, cargo ships in the docking bay. That has a personal yacht that can hold 20 passengers. We're not going to sneak out. We're going to take what we want and burn everything else. Looked at the human with something close to wonder. You're kind. You plan not for battle but for war, not for victory but for the complete destruction of your enemy. Nodded. We learned a long time ago that if you leave an enemy alive, they come back. Better to end things permanently. Stood tall, her scales reflecting the dim light. 20 years of captivity had bent her but not broken her. Now, for the first time, she looked like what she truly was, a warrior queen. We will follow this plan, she declared, and if it fails, we will die as should die, fighting free. Looked at his three unlikely allies, a broken warrior, a young hunter, and an ancient soldier. Dragons who had forgotten they were dragons. He was going to remind them. Get ready, he said. In 3 days we burn this place down. The grand arena was packed with the worst creatures in the galaxy. Slavers, criminals, wealthy monsters who paid to watch living things die for entertainment. They sat in comfortable seats behind force fields, drinking expensive drinks, placing bets on how quickly the human would die. The himself sat on a throne of gold and bone at the highest point. His antenna twitched with pleasure. This would be a good show. Walked into the arena in chains. Guards pushed him forward, laughing at his thin body and pale skin. He had not eaten well in weeks. He looked weak, pathetic, perfect. The crowd cheered when they saw his opponent. A mauler, a creature designed in a laboratory for one purpose only, killing. It was as big as a shuttle, covered in armor plates with 6 legs and a mouth that could bite through metal. Its eyes were red and empty. It felt nothing but hunger and rage. The stood and raised his arms. Citizens of, he clicked loudly, today we have something special. A human. Yes, one of those small, soft creatures from the edge of the galaxy. It claims it can fight. It claims it wants to die with honor. The crowd laughed. Honor from a human, what a joke. Let us see how long it lasts against our champion beast. The force fields hummed. The gates opened. The mauler charged. Ran. The crowd roared with laughter. Of course the human ran. What else would it do? The mauler was too fast, too strong. This would be over in seconds. But was not running randomly. He was running in a specific pattern, toward the center of the arena, where the floor was marked with small lines that no one else could see. Lines he had secretly weakened over weeks, bribing a maintenance drone with nutrient paste stolen from his own meals. The mauler followed him, shaking the ground with each step. Counted in his head, 3 steps, 2 steps, 1. He jumped to the side just as the mauler's massive weight came down on the weakened section of floor. There was a terrible cracking sound. The metal screamed and bent, and then the floor collapsed. The mauler fell through, crashing into the tunnels below. Fell too, but he had expected it. He rolled when he hit the ground, protecting his head. The impact still hurt. Everything hurt, but he was alive. Above, he could hear the crowd screaming in confusion. This was not supposed to happen. The mauler lay stunned among the broken metal, did not wait for it to recover. He ran into the dark tunnels, following the map in his head. At the same moment, deep in the ventilation system, reached the control room. It was unguarded. Why would they guard it? No prisoner had ever escaped. No one had ever tried to fight back. Tore through the vent cover and dropped into the room. The Oran technician inside barely had time to scream before her claws silenced him forever. She looked at the control panel, found the red cables had described, and pulled. All of them, every single one. Across station, something changed. The fog lifted. In the arena cells, fighters suddenly stopped their confused packing. Their eyes cleared. Memories came flooding back. Who they were, what had been done to them, the burning of the death of their families, the endless years of slavery. In the guard barracks, slaves who had been serving drinks and carrying equipment dropped their burdens, their claws extended, their teeth bared. In the mining sections, work beasts remembered they were warriors. And they all felt the same thing, rage, pure, ancient, unstoppable rage. The station alarms began to wail, but it was too late. Burst through the pit door like it was made of paper, followed behind her, moving faster than he had in decades. The guards who came to stop them died before they could fire their weapons. Find roared, then we take the ships. In the tunnels below the arena, heard the chaos beginning. He smiled even as he ran through the dark. The plan was working. Behind him, the mauler was waking up, but something was different now. The control signals that had kept it focused on were gone. The beast's tiny brain tried to process this new information. It was confused, and when it finally started moving again, it headed toward the scent of its former masters, the ones who had hurt it, the ones who had made it fight. The Oran guards never saw it coming. Found a ladder and climbed. He emerged in a hallway filled with smoke and screaming. Bodies lay everywhere. Most of them were Oran. A few were other species who had made the mistake of getting in the way. A warrior he had never met came around a corner, covered in green blood. It saw him and raised its claws. Wait, shouted, I'm the one who freed you. The warrior hesitated. Then it saw the old scars on its body, the half-healed wounds, the look in his eyes. The human, the warrior said, the one from the pit, spoke of you. Where is she? Moving toward the docking bay. We all are. The queen has given orders, take the ships, kill anyone who resists. Nodded, good, let's move. This throne room was not far from the arena. Found it easily, following the sounds of clicking panic. The fat insect was trying to escape through a private door, carrying bags of credits and valuables. He froze when he saw blocking his path. You, the whispered, how, you should be dead, you should all be dead. Picked up a weapon from a fallen guard. It felt good in his hands. You made a mistake, he said calmly. You looked at humans and saw soft things, small things, weak things. You thought we were easy prey. The dropped his bags and fell to his knees. Please, I have wealth, ships, information, I can give you everything. Stepped closer. Your kind studies other species, right? You look at their bodies, their abilities there. You judge their worth by how strong or fast or long-lived they are. Yes, we study everyone. I can help you, I can. You missed the important part, said, raising the weapon. The thing that makes humans dangerous. We're not the biggest predators, we're not the fastest. But when we decide something needs to die, it dies. We don't stop. We don't forget. We chase our prey across continents, across oceans, across years. We are the monster that monsters told stories about. This final words were a question. What stories? Pulled the trigger. The scary ones. An hour later, the station was dying. Fires burned in every section. The slave markets were ashes. The arena was rubble. Thousands of prisoners, free for the first time in years or decades, were fighting their way to freedom. Walked through the chaos toward the docking bay. Around him, warriors were hunting down the last of the Oran guards. It was not a battle. It was an extinction. Found him halfway there. She was covered in blood, most of it not her own. Her eyes were alive in a way he had never seen before. It is done, she said. The station is ours. Nodded, then let's get out of here. We have work to do. Work? He smiled. It was not a nice smile. This is one station. The Oran have hundreds, and I know where every single one of them is. Station burned behind them. Stood on the bridge of this personal yacht, watching the destruction through the viewport. Explosions bloomed across the station like flowers of fire. The largest slave market in the outer sectors was dying, and it was beautiful. Around him, warriors filled the ship. 37 of them had survived the uprising. 37 who remembered who they were. 37 who wanted revenge. Stood beside him, her massive form barely fitting in the human-sized bridge. The other ships have launched, she reported. 12 cargo vessels, 7 fighter craft, all filled with freed prisoners. They are asking where to go. Turned away from the dying station. Tell them to scatter, find safe ports, spread the word about what happened here. The Oran Empire needs to know that their slaves are waking up. Appeared at the bridge entrance. She had changed since the uprising began. The fear was gone from her eyes. In its place was something harder, sharper. I have accessed this personal files, she said. Everything is here. Maps, trade routes, security codes, the locations of every slave station in Oran space. She held up a data pad. On the screen was a map of the galaxy, marked with hundreds of red dots. Looked at it for a long time. How many? He asked quietly. 347 stations, answered. Millions of prisoners, many species, many. The old warrior stepped forward. He moved differently now. The dampeners had clouded his mind for over a century, but he was still alive, still strong, still angry. The Empire will come for us, he said. What we did here today they cannot ignore. They will send fleets. They will hunt us across every sector. Let them come, he growled, but shook his head. No, we're not going to wait for them to come, we're going to go to them. They looked at him, waiting. Pulled the data pad from his claws and studied the map. 347 stations, millions of slaves, a network of cruelty that had operated for centuries. The Oran think this is over, he said. They think we'll run and hide, find some quiet corner of space and hope they never find us. He looked up at, is that what your people would do? His eyes burned, never. Good, because humans don't run either. When something hurts us, we don't just fight back, we end it, permanently. He pointed to the nearest red dot on the map. This station is 2 days away, smaller than, fewer guards, more prisoners. Understood first. His old face split into a terrifying smile. You want to do it again, he said. I want to do it everywhere, replied. Every station, every market, every ship that carries slaves. We free everyone we can. We destroy everything else. And we don't stop until the Oran slave trade is ash and memory. Moved closer to the map. This is not a battle you are describing. This is a war. No, said. A war ends. This is an extinction. The Oran decided that some species exist to be bought and sold. They decided that your people were animals to be broken and used. They decided that my crew deserved to die for their cargo. His voice was calm, but his eyes were not. I'm going to teach them what happens when prey stops running. Studied him, this small, soft creature who had survived her pit, who had planned an impossible escape, who had turned their prison into a weapon. You're kind, she said slowly. You truly do not give up. Met her gaze. On my world we have a saying. The mills of God grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. It means that justice might take time, but it comes for everything eventually. He smiled. The Oran have had a long time to hurt people. Now it's time to pay the bill, every credit, every life, every scream. He turned to the bridge crew, former slaves from 3 different species who had chosen to stay and fight. Set course for Station 7. We arrive in 2 days. Spread the word to any ship that wants to follow. He looked back at the burning remains of, tell them the long hunt has begun. The yacht's engines hummed to life. The stolen fleet fell into formation around it, and in the command centers of the Oran Empire, alarm signals began to arrive. At first the commanders did not believe the reports. Station destroyed, by prisoners, by a human, impossible. But the reports kept coming, and then the next station fell, and the next, and the next. 3 months later, the Iran High Command held an emergency meeting. 43 stations had been destroyed. 7 trade fleets had been captured. 2 million slaves had been freed. And at the center of it all, leading an army of monsters, was a single human who would not stop. They added a new entry to their threat database that day. Humanity, previously listed as minimal threat, suitable for entertainment purposes only. The new classification read, Extinction level, do not engage, do not capture, avoid at all costs. But it was already too late. Across the galaxy, in ships flying stolen colors, freed slaves looked to a human for guidance, who remembered their glory days prepared for war. Other species, beaten for generations, found their courage again. And Cole, former cargo hauler, watched the stars pass by and planned his next attack. The Orion had taken everything from him, his ship, his crew, his peace. Now he would take everything from them. In the quiet of his cabin, he pulled out a piece of paper. On it were the names of his dead crew. 4 people who had trusted him, 4 people he had failed to save. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you," he said to the names. "But I can avenge you, and I will, every station, every slaver, every last one of them." He folded the paper and put it away. Then he walked back to the bridge, where and waited. "What is the next target?" asked. Looked at the star map. So many red dots, so many people to free, so many enemies to destroy. "All of them," he said. "The next target is all of them." Laughed his grinding laugh. "I knew what you were the moment I saw you in that pit, little predator. You are not prey that learned to fight. You are death that learned to walk and talk and smile." Smiled back. It was a cold smile, a patient smile, the smile of a persistent hunter who had chosen his prey. "The Oran will learn what humans are," he said. "We're the species that chased mammoths across ice ages. We're the species that sailed oceans on wooden ships. We're the species that split the atom and walked on our moon. We don't stop. We never stop." He turned to face the stars. "And now we hunt."